Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Let's pause for a moment of silence tonight, and let's commit as public officials to having a positive and productive discussion this evening. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Louise Dinsmore, Chair of the Charahoe School Committee, and I want to thank you all for coming and participating in the annual Omnibus Meeting, where our Superintendent, Gina Picard, will present the fiscal year 27 budget. Before we begin, I'd like to highlight some important information and dates of future meetings where the fiscal year 27 budget will be discussed further. The school committee was presented with this budget last week at our monthly meeting. The school committee will meet again on Tuesday, January 27th for a budget workshop. And our February 10th meeting will include the approval of the budget. The annual regional school district public hearing on the budget is scheduled for Tuesday, March 3rd. That's the night where we have to have 25 registered voters from each town to have that meeting. And then the adoption of the budget will take place on March 10th. The school budget vote will take place on Tuesday, April 7th. This format tonight and moving forward allows our school committee members and the administration to listen to your budget-related recommendations and your input. Before the superintendent begins her presentation this evening, let me ask those around the table to save your questions, please, until after Ms. Picard has concluded her presentation, and I'd be happy to acknowledge you when you raise your hands. If members of the public have questions, I will recognize you after the individuals around the table have finished their questions. As regional neighbors and public officials, let's take a few minutes to introduce ourselves around the table, and I will begin with Senator Morgan.
I am Senator Morgan. I represent Hopkinton, Richmond, Exeter, West Greenwich, and Charlestown, Park Charlestown. I live in Hopkinton resident.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Liz Draper. I am the Finance Director at the Town of Hopkinton.
Brian Rosso, Town Manager, Town of Hopkinton.
Sharon Davis, Town Council Member of Hopkinton.
Good evening, Mike Geary, Town Council President Hopkinton. Go Pats.
Robert Burns, Vice President, Hopkinton Town Council.
Jasmine Roy, Hopkinton Town Council.
Holly Hopkins, Hopkinton School Committee member.
Larry Phelps, Hopkinton School Committee.
Jessica Purcell, Richmond resident and Charahoe School Committee member.
Karen Reynolds, Richmond resident, Charahoe School Committee member.
Michael Camella, Assistant Superintendent.
Angela Brazil, School Committee Clerk and Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent.
Louise Dinsmore, Richmond resident, Chair, Charahoe School Committee.
Gina Picard, Superintendent.
Laura Chapman, Vice Chair, Charlestown School Committee.
Greg Zangian, Director of Administration and Finance.
Lynn Gubin, the Assistant Director of Administration and Finance.
Craig Luzon, Representative from Charlestown School Committee.
Good evening, Linda Lyle, Charlestown resident and representative on the Charlestown and the Charahoe School Committee.
Diane Tepp, Town of Hopkinton, representative, Charahoe School Committee.
Pat Pouliot, Richmond School Committee.
Deborah Carney, Charlestown Town Council President.
Jeff Allen, Town Administrator, Charlestown.
Erin Lees, Town Administrator, Richmond.
Danielle Andrews, Richmond Finance Director.
Sam Wilcox, Hope Valley resident, President of the Richmond Town Council.
Jim Palmisano, Richmond Town Council, proud parent of a Charahoe 8th grader.
Jeff Dinsmore, Richmond Town Council.
Dan Madnick, Richmond Town Council.
Mark Reynolds, Richmond Town Council.
Megan Cotter, I represent Exeter, Richmond, and Hopkinton.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate again you all being here tonight, and I will now turn it over to our Superintendent Gina Picard for the fiscal year 27 budget presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out this evening. I want to thank the members of the Charahoe School Committee, the Charlestown, Richmond, and Hopkinton Town Councils, and our senators and representatives for being here this evening, and the members of the public. I want to begin by also thanking my Charahoe team, who worked diligently and had extensive efforts to collaborate across departments and schools to ensure we are presenting a budget that serves the needs of our students and our families. This proposed budget is designed to keep Charahoe on track to provide a high-quality, rigorous public education to all students. As we move closer to the budget vote on April 7th, which is a Tuesday, it is important to note that all numbers presented this evening are based on the governor's preliminary budget. As with all districts across the state, those figures remain subject to change as the General Assembly finalizes the enacted budget. Across Rhode Island, school funding discussions are often tied to test scores, and it's important to clarify what those scores are and what they are not. Under federal law, the Every Student Succeeds Act, state assessments are designed to identify trends, equity gaps across our systems. They are not intended to measure the full quality of a school or to serve as judgment on a district's budget. In Rhode Island, many assessments are administered before students even complete a full year of instruction. They represent a single snapshot in time, and are influenced by factors outside of a school's control, including student mobility, language acquisition, student needs, supports for our most vulnerable learners, and mental health needs. This information is publicly available through the Rhode Island Department of Education and the Rhode Island General Law. We also frequently hear comparisons between public schools and other educational settings. Families' individual choices should be valued and respected. At the same time, public schools operate under a different set of legal and accountability requirements. We are obligated to serve every student. What does every student mean? It means we serve students with complex medical needs, students who have experienced trauma, students who are gifted and talented, students who are neurodivergent and differently abled. And unlike charter, private, and parochial schools, we must provide transportation and services regardless of cost. The Blue Ribbon Commission on School Funding concluded that Rhode Island's current funding system does not fully account for the real cost of educating students. While I somewhat agree, after a thorough review, I believe the commission was well-intended and had an honorable goal. The report has missed the mark on several issues. I will only highlight one right now with the funding formula that I believe is not addressed in this report about regional and rural districts, as is Charahoe. That report, along with our audited financial statements and RIDE accountability data, is publicly available to anyone who wishes to review for evidence. Tonight, our goal is to ground this conversation in accurate information, transparency, and a shared understanding of what public schools are required to do and whom they are required to serve. I ask that you allow me to complete the presentation as Chair Dinsmore requested, and then we will open up for questions and comments.
So Gina, before you start, I just want to welcome Senator Gu for joining us. Thank you so much.
So this budget reflects a commitment to put students first. It focuses on ensuring we continue to have strong academic performance, and it strives to maintain, to the best of our ability, our aging facilities and operational costs, while being fiscally responsible. It reflects discipline, not expansion, and prepares the district for long-term sustainability. Charahoe is recognized for strong assessment results combined with a strong return on investment, which we talk about for per pupil expenditure. We are delivering a top-tier education while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Schools are legally required to serve students with complex disabilities. This includes specialized staff, specialized tools, specialized transportation, and additional supports, again, regardless of cost. These students are often not represented in parochial, private, or charter schools, anywhere near the same numbers that we see in district public schools. A question we often hear in these discussions is, if schools need more money, why aren't test scores higher? That's a fair question, and it deserves a clear and honest answer. Public school districts like Charahoe cannot limit enrollment like a charter, parochial, or private school can. Unlike non-public schools and charters, we welcome all students. To be clear, non-public schools and charters offer choices for families, and those opportunities should exist. My father is a LaSalle graduate. My husband attended parochial school K-8. These are important choices that families should have, but it's not apples to apples as it relates to what public school and federal and state accountability laws require when you accept state aid. We have the evidence, as noted in the quadrant of success that you just saw, that our teachers are doing amazing work and our students are doing amazing work. And we have a meaningful, documented progress toward individualized goals that state tests could never measure. The evidence is clear. Charahoe tells a story of success, and our annual report is one example that is posted every year in August. And it shows tremendous accomplishments, recognitions, and results as we remain in the quadrant of success 2 years in a row based on its inception. I want to thank the League of Cities and Towns for working collaboratively with our superintendents, our town councils, as we work to embark really where we have to focus on the funding formula. I will be present at David Cicilline's presentation on the Blue Ribbon Commission so I can share my public comments so that they understand where I believe it's a little bit short-sighted. I want to ensure you all know to my left, right next to our Vice Chair Laura Chapman, is Lynn Gouvin, our Assistant Finance Director, and Gregory Zenyan, our Director of Administration and Finance. They bring a deep expertise in education and a clear understanding of how educational spending and long-term planning work in practice. State testing is required under federal law through every Student Succeeds Act, which we call ESSA, the other ESSA, if you will. Its purpose is to identify system-wide trends, flag where additional supports are needed, and ensure civil rights protections for historically underserved students. State tests were never designed to measure the full quality of a school, or to rank a district, or to rank a school, or to determine whether a budget is too high or too low. In fact, no state assessment could ever do such a thing, but we are legally required to do this. As you're all aware, Charahoe is a rural school district, 128 square miles. Unlike compact urban and suburban districts, our geography fundamentally shapes how we must provide transportation. Transportation costs in public education do not scale down simply because enrollment declines. Routes have to run, students need safe access to their schools, mandated transportation services remain in place. Transportation is not an enhancement, it is an access to service. If students cannot get to school safely, instruction does not happen. This is especially true in a regional district like Charahoe, where walking to school is not a realistic option for many of our families. We often hear about Barrington. Barrington's transportation needs are not comparable. Therefore, more money is able to directly be placed in a classroom where it belongs. When one district can walk students to school and another spans 128 square miles, transportation becomes the classroom door, and we are required to fund it accordingly. This is about equity. Many of our roads are narrow, rural, or unpaved, and standard large buses physically cannot access certain neighborhoods. In those cases, we are required to use minibuses, which are significantly more expensive per student. Other cities and towns have bus routes that are significantly shorter, many under 5 miles. North Providence is one of them. Fewer specialized vehicles are required, and our minibuses are not focused on transporting students with special needs. They are focused on all of our students who have access to rural roads where big buses can't get through. These are not concerns that suburban or city or urban districts have to worry about. But our partners, Exeter West Greenwich, know this too well as well. Charahoe must allocate more funding to transportation before a single dollar reaches instruction. The way transportation funding is structured at the state level creates an inequitable system where rural and regional districts face higher unavoidable costs with less flexibility. Regional transportation funding has historically been underfunded at the state level. We all know this battle too well. Gina Raimondo served as governor, and she never fully funded it. Each year, districts like Charahoe must fight to preserve regional transportation funding because costs are growing and the funding formula does not reflect our geographic reality. This is why transportation remains one of the largest and least flexible line items in our budget. This is where the fight is not with each other. Our state reps and our senators are doing the best they possibly can do. The school committee has consistently worked together to advocate for fair transportation funding. How are they doing that? Advocacy, letters to state leadership, formal resolutions, testimony and meetings at the State House, direct engagement with our local legislators. And we are grateful to all of you who support us, including our state representatives and our senators. I want to thank Rep. Carter and Rep. Spears, who's on her way. She's on the boat from Block Island. They call me, they email me, they text me to ensure we can stand together at the State House to continue to advocate for our students so they can reach their classroom doors. We want to talk about attendance? Let's start there. The governor has a campaign. The commissioner has a campaign. The campaign is at the General Assembly to fund it fairly for rural districts. Regional transportation should not be a bonus. We should not have to fight for it every year, recognizing that without it, regional districts would face even greater pressure on local taxpayers. Regional transportation should be baked into the funding formula, and this is where the commission is short-sighted. This is clear. Local budgets are impacted by state-level decisions every day, and why advocacy matters, not here with each other, but at the General Assembly. Supporting our representatives and our senators to do the job that we want them to do, serve the students of Charahoe and their families. We carefully reviewed where reductions could be made while minimizing impact on classrooms and student learning, and it's getting harder and harder. I'm not happy about this budget, and I know you're not happy about this budget. People want less, and I'm telling you we need more. That's hard. Positions were adjusted through enrollment analysis and attrition. Technology systems were consolidated to attempt to lower costs already in place. Non-urgent capital projects continue to be kicked down the road and deferred, and all furniture replacements requests were removed from the budget. You try taking your midterm exam when the desk is wobbly and the chair isn't able to be replaced. Not so easy. These decisions were determined by our administrative team. While a lot of these cuts were difficult for me, probably about $1.5 million before it even reached this table, I knew I could not come up with a budget bigger than this, which is why we changed our thinking. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I'm not really willing to do that anymore. I say we take the charge and stand by our reps and stand by our senators at the State House, where the battle is just beginning. And I'm ready to do that starting tomorrow with all of you. The budget before you is a reflection of very difficult decisions that include an impact on our student programs, but it does maintain our vision of 2026 as we sunset it in December, and it does set the stage for Vision 2029, which basically gives us the first year. This slide shares where there have been some intentional trade-offs. We are continuously asked to work on reducing our budget, which has resulted in deferring facilities needs year after year after year. Our mental health initiatives are important, and they're being done by grants, thanks to Dr. Katie Karakosian, our Director of Development and Sustainability, who was part-time when I came here, and we were able to bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now we're bringing in $3.3 million. We're trying our best, I promise you. I hear you, I understand you. I need you at the State House with Senator Morgan, Senator Gu, Rep. Carter, and Rep. Spears. We have to do this together. We have many initiatives that we're going to have to sort of pause. Some want to go faster. Some ask us to go slower. I just don't want to do it. I want you to do what's best for kids. And this budget is at minimum what we can do. I don't have any more ideas for cutting without touching staff and programs. Where do we begin? Is it athletics? Is it extracurriculars? Is it raising class sizes? Is it removing advanced placement classes? Is it removing programs that help our neediest opportunities? We have students in high school that need toileting. I don't think charter schools have to worry about that. I know they don't. Neither do parochial. These are real needs. And you're going to see in a slide coming up about high-cost special ed. That's where we need to start. We can't reduce this budget anymore. We can't put letters to the editor and fight against each other. We need to stand together. We're on the same team. We need to unite. Several increases in this budget are not discretionary. They include contractual salary obligations, required public safety detail rates, and state mandated curriculum. Now, I love my friend Pat Hawkins over there. You know, he likes to yell at me. No, he doesn't like to yell at me. I'm kidding, Pat. And I love our police, but they have needs too. And while I'm excited at the fact that our bands are back and running, and the middle school band has never been bigger, and we're getting ready to start, our marching band soon, with all of the work that we have. But guess what happens when you have more events? More people want to attend. That's a good thing, but it comes at a cost. Because I can't get Pat Hawkins mad at me because I can't violate the law. If more parents want to come, that's a good thing. But that means I have to pay for more details. So what's the give? Removing events for parents who look forward to them? Changing the way we do business? What parents expect from us? I don't think any of us want to do that. State mandated curriculum. Well, it's mandated. We have good curriculum. Our teachers chose that curriculum. That's not the battle. That's what evidence says you need, high quality curriculum. That's a baseline for all of our kids to ensure it doesn't matter what teacher you get, what classroom you get, it's equity. Professional development. How many of you want to go to the doctor that no longer does laparoscopic and they want to cut you open from side to side? Longer recoveries. I don't know about you, but I'm getting older. Recoveries take a little bit longer if you have to go to surgery. That's not the option either. Well-intended legislators. I believe our legislators and our General Assembly mean well. They try hard every day to focus on their constituents. Rhode Island needs to focus on all constituents. I'm lost at why regional it seems to be, what they want to focus on when it hasn't helped us any. That's not the answer. We shouldn't be fighting for regional transportation if that was the answer. Waste management costs. Again, a well-intended bill. I have learned how to garden. We have brought our agriculture program down to pre-K through 12. Our unified elementary school is going to focus on opportunities for students at pre-K. I call it, my working title, Early Explorers, Innovators Academy. That's how you bring attendance. That's how you get kids to school. You get them excited. My fourth graders wanted me to share with you, they want two things. They want to learn and they want to have fun. I can't disagree. They're smart and they are going to save the world. I would like to extend sincere thanks to negotiation team chaired by Diane Teft, members Pat Pouliot, Laura Chapman, and Louise Dinsmore. The work of that team reflected the shared priorities of our full 12-member school committee. They aligned about their asks and they made it happen, and our teachers felt valued. That's not easy, but they did it. And they worked together as a 12-member committee. This contract respects our professional investment. Yes, I understand the school's budget is 70%, or 75%, or 78%. Find me the town that doesn't exist. We're all fighting the same battle. Enrollment is decreasing because your funding formula is based on enrollment. That's the problem. We need a plan for long-term sustainability. We appreciate the time, the care, and the diligence that all of you bring to the table. And we recognize all of your commitments. We want to balance that, but I can't do that on the backs of students. Our families are counting on us, and so are our kids. Yeah. Yes, Dr. Camilla has it ready. We're a good team up here. So this is an example of why fewer students does not equal lower costs. You see an example of 80 students, decline across 4 schools and 13 grades. That means 1.5 students per classroom. While enrollment has declined, costs do not scale proportionally because classrooms remain open, transportation routes have to run, and mandated services such as special education remain in place. I have to turn the lights on, I have to put on the heat, and things have to operate, whether there's 1 less, 2 less, or 3 less in a classroom. At home, when a family has fewer people living in the house, does the energy go down? Does your electric bill, because your child went to college, Do they reduce your electric bill? No. But there's no forum unless our legislators get them to do it. Where's Rhode Island Energy in helping our families? There's no forum. How about the food and your market? I don't know about you, but I have 7 in my house. And let's just say, needs and wants is where we are. There's a difference. And Market Basket brand is just as good as far as I'm concerned. And sometimes better. Go Pats! That's it. I'm waiting for that championship game. I'm looking forward to that this weekend. Or next weekend. We have a responsibility for our most vulnerable learners, and I know we're all committed to that. I know that's not what you're asking. I'm just trying to make sure you understand our reality in a way that I can help you make it clear. This is my 6th omnibus, and I'm proud to work for Charahoe. This is an excellent school district with excellent teachers and excellent staff and amazing young people who are sitting at our finance meetings, sharing their knowledge about how we can do this better. Listen to them. They know. I'm even prouder that they're going to head over to the Charlestown Town Council and talk about waste management and how they're learning how to build resolutions to share to the school committee. Our first civics engagement summit happened last year, and our kids were amazing. Secretary of State Greg Amore asked me, he said, wow, this must be your best and brightest. I said, this is anybody who wants to attend. They're all our best and our brightest. Sometimes our brains work a little differently, and that's okay. I know my brain does. When I'm excited, I can talk fast. That's why I have my notes. That doesn't make me less than. It means that I'm using a strategy to ensure that I can clearly articulate the message that you need to hear. I don't ever mean to come across as condescending if I articulate slowly. I do that so I slow myself down and you can hear me better. So please know my tone, if it's firm, I don't mean to be aggressive. I'm trying to get my points across, but I respect every single one of you at this table. And I respect the work you do every day because it's not easy. Facebook is not our friends. Social media is not our friends. That's why I'm not on it. Well, I'm on Instagram now because the kids made me do it, but you can't comment. So they keep me up and they keep me up and running, but they keep me honest. We need to operate for our kids. And I know we all believe that. But I know you have to go back to your taxpayers, our taxpayers. We're all taxpayers. I may not live in Charlestown or Richmond or Hopkinton, but I pay state taxes. I want the best value for every dollar that I put into it. And that's all I ask. And I know that's all you ask. The challenge is that our decrease of enrollment isn't even anywhere near what Westerly is seeing, or South Kingstown is seeing, or Narragansett is seeing. And the chair and I had a legislative meeting the first week of January, right when the session opened. Rep. Carter came, Rep. Spears came, those that could make it came. And we had a great conversation about how to collaborate as the Washington County, as South County, to be able to take the charge where it needs to be, fighting for all of Rhode Island, not fighting against towns and districts, not fighting with EWG and Wesley about who's CTE programs. We're trying to build the same programs. The system is broken as designed. I am done playing defense. I want to play offense. I want to be the quarterback. How do we know? It's the leader of the team. But I need my special teams. I need a strong defense. But you need a strong offense. Strong defense wins championships. But you got to score the points. I need you to help me. As a result, our fixed operational costs remain largely unchanged. We must still heat and maintain our buildings, operate the routes, regardless of our fluctuations in enrollment. I want you to look at that last statement. I'm sorry, Mike. 1 second, go right back. The one, almost there. The one you just on a minute ago. The slide.
Back one more.
There it is. Thank you. Just take a look at that. What is often missing from this conversation is the reality that education funding formula is enrollment based, while education costs are needs-based. That's the problem. That's the root cause. And my educator friends know, when you can get to the root cause analysis, you know exactly how to solve the problem. I can help you solve the problem. I don't mind being the skunk at the garden party. You all know that. But I'm never going to sacrifice our kids. Not Charahoe's kids, not Westerly's kids, not EWG's kids, no one's kids. It's not going to happen. And my advocacy may be passionate and sometimes may rub somebody the wrong way. Not my intent. Please know I'm just trying to make sure we do what's best for our kids. This is where we can all start. High cost special ed. Why is this important? Your funding formula, our funding formula for the state, Rhode Island has the worst funding formula in the nation, and I can prove it. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. And I'm going to share my message with Rep. Carter, Rep. Spears, Senator Gu, Senator Morgan, Rep. Kennedy, and any other legislator that will listen. My hometown, they know I'm coming, and they're ready to stand behind me too. This is not a Charahoe fight. This is a school fight. We're all fighting for the same thing, fighting for every kid in this state. So what does this mean? If I have a student that moves into the district, I had two just recently, very high needs. I have a responsibility to them, and their families are counting on us. So, but unless they're 5 times the per pupil, so the per pupil times 4, I don't get reimbursed. Massachusetts doesn't do that. They want to anchor to, the governor wants to anchor to Massachusetts, let's go. Anchor to Massachusetts, and at minimum, copy their funding formula. What they did with this funding formula is they just shifted the part. We don't have 30 districts, 35 superintendents. By the way, my job is legislated, which is why I have to anchor to the law, because I can lose my certification. We have 60 districts because we have public charter schools. So why is the money getting less and less? Because you open the pot. There's a law on the books that says if you have under 400 students in your high school, you must look to regionalize. Ask yourselves, why don't charter schools have to do that? They're coming, they're knocking down Tiverton's door, they're knocking down Narragansett's door, they're knocking down Situate's door. They're not knocking down the charter's door. Why are the rules different? That's all I ask. If we want to be fair, be equitable. That's all I'm asking. This is the advocacy issue. Fully fundating mandated reimbursements like high-cost special ed. At minimum, let's fund our most vulnerable. They deserve that. Slide 10, Mike. Thank you. Fund balance, that's my favorite. This is where I'm going to ask for your help. My goal tonight is to get us all to understand the unassigned fund balance, because it seems to be complex for people. Now, if I'm correct, and you're all here, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of double checked at the finance meeting. Charlestown's fund balance is in the 20 millions. Hopkinton's is about 17 million. Richmond is 15, 14?
We're not 20 million. We're about 23, 24%.
Yeah, I think it's
Of your audit, so about how many million?
7 and change.
7 and change, okay, thank you. But you also have the rainy day fund for your school, for enrollment shifts.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Deb. Thank you, Jeff. So what does that mean? It's not a surplus. So it's not like you're doing your laundry, you find the $20. I'm happy when we find 5. I'm happy when I find $1 at this point. But that's not what this is. People like to say rainy day fund. I don't love the rainy day fund, but I'll use it. I like it better than surplus because it's not a surplus. But basically, if I have, we had a tornado in North Providence, believe it or not, and I had a piece of my roof fly off. My roof is leaking. That's not fun. The insurance company doesn't, after they barely give you what you need to cover the costs, they want to drop you. I'm not speaking, you all know this, more trees fall in Charahoe than they fall down in North Providence. But in the end, I have to then take out of my savings. What happens if it's not there? And that's what we're saying. The unassigned fund balance is not a place where we can keep lessening. We lowered our fund balance last year, approximately 3 million, and Greg can jump in if I'm misquoting because I got some brain fog every now and then. I've been up since 4 a.m., so bear with me. But in the end, that's what we're asking. Why these, when I say volatile costs, costs that just happen, like a tornado, like a windstorm, like a snowstorm showing up possibly this weekend, where I'm going to spend from today until probably Sunday talking to all your EMA directors to make sure I have a good understanding of what's happening. It looks like a big one, my friends. I don't know about you, but my trucks are barely hanging on. I had to call in the vendor just to make sure I had us sanded so we could open school, because our trucks are on its last leg. And I have I had 2 trucks in here. I'm begging for one at this point. It's either going to be the truck or the vendor. DCYF tuitions are higher every year. And the new bill comes in February. Massachusetts has their funding given to their districts by March. Wouldn't that be nice? So towns could plan. Make it make sense for me. Why are we waiting till June? Why are we all playing roulette with our funding when all we have to say is change the timing? To me, that seems like that makes sense. And there's always somebody to explain why it doesn't. Why doesn't the General Assembly start in September and end in April? These are all questions I have, and I'm going to be talking about them more tomorrow and at the State House. I plan on being there at least once a night every week until it's passed. And I can be relentless, as many of you know. So what is the point of this slide? Asking us to lower the fund balance to a point where I can't run 1 month of expenditures is irresponsible. And I don't think that's what you're asking, but that's what it is. 2.25%, going to 2% year after year after year has depleted the fund balance. And I get often asked, well, you need your fund balance because of enrollment shifts. You can't know what state aid's going to be. We're one of the only regional districts that get the money sent to the towns. If you give it to us, you can lower the taxpayer problem some of it, because I get it. Because I don't like to be in the top 10 list, but March of 2025, RIPEC put out a report that there was top 10 districts that were locally underfunded. I don't want to be on that list, but where are you going to get it? Make it make sense. So then it becomes a battle, and it shouldn't be. Unexpected medical bills. The school committee has tried. They dug deep into our healthcare fund balance, and we got hit the next year real big. I can get you those numbers at the budget workshop. But in the end, it's just unsustainable to keep doing that. Mike, can you go to the next slide? Okay, this is the page we all don't like. I don't like it either. That's why it's at the end. It's not my favorite slide. I always say, do what you love first. But I want to explain the 2.76% is an increase in our spending. That's it. What this doesn't encapsulate is the fact that revenue is down. Why? Why is revenue down? Because our CALA tuitions are down. Because our students need that support, and I can't bring it out of district because I have to serve Charahoe students first. Barry Ritchie had a lot of good insight. He was a very smart man, but he promised all of you that he wouldn't build CALA bigger than the program of RISE, and he kept his promise. Now, we're focusing on multi-tiered systems of support to ensure that we don't have to make CALA bigger, because that's not the goal. The goal is bringing the services to the students in their classrooms so that our teachers have the support necessary to serve them well with their peers, in their communities, with their friends, in their neighborhoods. And I know when I came in, it was a unified school, and we didn't even get all the way down the road because COVID hit, and it was confusing because the stage 1 and stage 2 process was brand new because the law shifted around how we have to access money for school buildings. In 2018 or 2017, every town had a ballot. And if you go back to my May 2024 presentation on the website, you'll see, and I shared it with Rep. Spears, who requested some of this information from us. On the website, it tells you, this is what we need. We need a facilities that our students can invest in. We don't need pretty paint. We've been doing that. And Mr. Zenni will tell me it's to our detriment You're making the schools look too pretty. I'm not making schools look like prisons. Not going to do it. They deserve to have schools that look like places of learning. They deserve that. So I get it, the 5.15% overall budget increase. I don't love it, but anything less means teachers, it means staff, it means programs. So help me go down to the State House to make sure we fix this so that we don't have to fight against each other and reduce what our kids deserve and our families deserve and your communities deserve. You can pull the building permits from any town and see who's moving in. Hopkinton keeps getting more students moving in. We use preliminary state aid for the budget workshop, for the presentation to the school committee. And Hopkinton was at about 8%, Greg? Yes. And Greg is a Hopkinton resident. And he's like, oh my God. And I said, I know. Lynn is a Charlestown resident. And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, I know. But in the end, I don't laugh because it's funny. I laugh because it doesn't make sense. The funding formula doesn't work. Rhode Island, if you research it, it is the worst funding formula in the nation. We were the last ones to get it. And if that funding formula that the Blue Ribbon Commission says we need, we lose $7 million. Help me make it make sense. This budget is not about inflation because the 2.76 tells you we're under inflation. We are trying our best. And we have come under inflation for the last 6 years that I've been here, and Barry did the same thing. Definition of insanity. Can't keep doing this. Transparency, what's the driving factor? 2 things we have to fight for. Regional transportation should be in the funding formula. It should not be a fight every year. High-cost special education should be in the funding formula, like Massachusetts, that the governor says he wants to be like. And no offense, I love that you all are helping me with Learn 365, but just give me that dollars and take the local contract instead of trying to make us all do something. It does take a village. Let's show the governor that we are the village, and we're telling him no more. It's over. Republican, Democrat, don't care, independent. This is a bipartisan issue. This is not a political issue. This is about kids. Next slide, Mike. Bond updates. Here's a big one. This is one everyone's sort of enjoying. Good news. The Cal bond sunsetted. So you're not paying for that anymore. Bad news is needs keep rising, inflation keeps rising, and we can't keep up. Good news is Mr. Zanian and the building committee that you've all appointed, that the school committee appointed, that the town council's appointed, they're doing their job. Boy, it's not easy. And Mr. Coulter was here at the January meeting to tell people that this is no joke. Because you can't move too fast. Because if you move too fast, you risk reimbursement. You want to do it cheap and you miss one step, you don't get reimbursed. I don't know about you, but I'd rather spend $6,000 than not getting reimbursed for $635,000. So the main campus bond, and we broke it down in pieces, $7.5 million, so we wouldn't have to pay the interest. And they're doing a good job. I mean, if they're not meeting every week, thank you. This is going to be even more important when we work for our elementary schools. Who we appoint to these committees can't just be about lowering costs. It's that Bureau Veritas report, which I don't know about you, but now it's old, and I'm going to get old information that's supposed to be 5 years, and we're 3 years waiting for it. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Not you guys. You guys know what I'm talking. And we're only paying interest this year. That's all we're paying is the interest. Next slide, Mike. So what do I want you to take away and to have this conversation about? You should be proud. Your teachers, your administrators, your students are doing great. Strong outcomes. Our finance team, clean audits year after year after year, even with different auditors. That's not easy. Budget increases are driven by our strategic plan, not by wants or needs, well, by needs, but also by innovation, thinking differently. I don't want to build a school that's just prettier than what we have. I want to build one that meets the needs of our kids so they have what they need in their classrooms and they don't have to walk out to find what they need. That takes away time and instruction. This budget sustains quality while managing risk. There is still risk here because the fund balance still is low, even at 2.25%. And all I ask is if we have an emergency, that you stand behind us and help us. This budget strengthens the systems that already serve our students while ensuring that those systems are coherent, aligned, evidence-based, and sustainable over time. It sets the stage for next year, for our 3-year strategic plan, because that's a state law. Can't be 5 years, has to be 3 years at minimum, because they want you to be able to change course if you notice something after your analysis. What's our goal? A sustainable budget that serves all kids, all the time. So I leave you with this. This budget continues to strengthen some systems, many, that already serve our students well. And it sets the foundation for Vision 2029. It reflects alignment, sustainability, and a long-term plan. It sustains the quality that our families expect and our students deserve. It focuses on our students and our future. It reflects careful planning, disciplined spending, and respect for all what you're doing to reach financial transparency with our community. The pressures we face and the steps we are taking to control costs. And we appreciate your thoughtful consideration of this budget. We understand it's not easy, but we remain committed to working with you collaboratively. And we hope that you will take this charge and move forward with us together. I want to thank all of you for your time, and I pass it back to the chair.
Thank you, Gina, for that comprehensive overview. Thank you all for your attention. I will open it up this time to questions from those around the table. And once we've exhausted our questions, I'll open it up to the community. If you would like to ask a question, I would just ask that you raise your hand and I'll write your names down and I'll put you in the queue. Who would like to go first? Brian.
So just a couple, oh, can you hear me? Right, a couple questions. You spoke a lot about the transportation aid. Is it fully funded right now?
Yes, I believe it is, Greg.
Well,
I know every year we gotta go.
Preliminary, it's preliminary. Yeah, preliminary. Yeah, thank you, Senator Morgan.
Okay. And then the ESSER funds, I know last year at this time, we talked about the ESSER funds and how they were expiring, and we were concerned about a structural deficit. Is that have any impact on this budgetary increases, or how?
No,
did you
I'm really proud
mitigate
of our
that?
team. I mean, led by, Sue Rogers was a huge support to Ned when we started with ESSER funds, and Ned did an amazing job, and Mr. Zenian is absolutely doing the same wonderful job. We balanced that. I mean, you saw the cliffs that some districts are facing. We didn't face those cliffs. Our concern is more about, like I told you, our needs are not decreasing, even if you lose kids, because the funding formula is not based on need, it's based on enrollment. And so for Hopkinton, maybe that this will help too, Brian. I mean, obviously, from 24 hours, and I try to get my intel from some of you to get the budget. You went from, 8% to a little bit over 2% in a day.
Right.
And we all know that everyone's going to be at the State House advocating for the same thing. But tell me why the Met is up about either the Met or Davies. One's up like a 1.5 million, 2 million. Make it make sense. They're up. Who's on those boards? What do their town councils look like? And their school committee, they don't have them. They answer to no one, but they answer to the state. The only reason why we didn't lose money last year was because Director Auth and myself went down, and Megan supported, Tina supported, and we fought for the regional transportation because they were trying to remove Charahoe out of our region. And I would have never known it had I not gotten the text from Megan and Tina. I literally had to run down to the State House. I missed honors for our 9th, 10th, and 11th graders because I had to go make sure that didn't happen. Let's just say I was the skunk at the garden party, but I spoke to the finance committee and they listened. Some people weren't thrilled, especially those that sponsored the bill, but they understood. I spoke to Mario Carino, who has been a good advocate for us. However, I said, who made this new map and why didn't we get this as superintendents? That seems to be problematic. So we have to do better too. RISA, RIAS, we have to work better together. The NEA, AFT, we all have to do this together. We're not fighting each other. We all want the same thing, what's best for our kids. So when you see the $1 million, what I see is that what they did was they took the success factor, which helped us a few years ago overall because of different indicators. Now they're looking at the more socioeconomic status. So Hopkinton has some shift there. And with your enrollment increasing, that's why you saw the increase. Because they shifted the success factor about 2 to 3%. But they can shift it right back as fast as they shifted it up.
Right.
That's what we have to watch.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I've seen this happen enough times to know that that state aid number is, right, it's a placeholder at this point.
Right.
You know, it always comes back higher. So, okay, I think that's it for me
Thank
for
you,
now.
Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Senator Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about today, and one of them was the Rhode Island Foundation and the Blue Ribbon Commission. They are planning on cutting their plan, their goal is to cut us, Westerly, Newport, and Middletown, I
I
think.
think EWG too.
No,
Because they have 1,000 kids, yeah.
yeah. So, and it's 7, our district will be hit with, if it goes through, which I really don't think that they will, because our budget right now, the Rhode Island Foundation requires $300 million to pull this all off. So there's not enough money to do that. So, but the future, I mean, they're looking down the road. So they're going to try to implement this slowly. And secondly, legislation-wise, I would love to see just the transportation fund be put into the budget. That's something we need to fight for on the state level. All of us need to be down at the State House fighting for this. And I have a piece of legislation in right now that if the state mandates our schools to do anything, they should pay for it if they're mandating it. That's another bill I have in, and I need support of everyone here to come down when this is in committee, or, you know, our residents. We can't do anything without our support from our community. So those will be basically two things that I wanted to bring up, and we need to keep an eye on this Blue Ribbon Commission. They're all bureaucrats, not elected.
Yeah, there's a meeting tomorrow in Providence that they're holding with David Cicilline that I will be present at.
Good. We just had one last week, and I had it out with David about the 7.7. I mean, he's all about equity across the board. But throwing money into Providence, Central Falls, and Woonsocket is not going to bring them up. Or, I mean, we've been throwing money at them for years, and it's still not up to par with those towns.
Absolutely, Senator Morgan. I think most of you know that I did 23 years in Providence, and the commissioner took it over. I would love a commissioner let me have at it, because I have a white paper that I have not published. My plan is to discuss and pass out a 1-page summary tomorrow, high bullet points so the public can consume it, and then I'm going live. So I'm on offense. Go Pats, right?
So you'll be in the House tomorrow?
It's on Prairie Avenue. I can get you the address, Senator. It's
Because we already had our presentation last week from.
It was the one at the CIC building, or the CI. It's the one right by the mills.
On Promenade?
Dyer Avenue. I'm sorry, Dyer Avenue.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have today.
Thank you, Senator Morgan. So if you know of when there's public comment on any of those bills that you think could benefit the district, if you could let us know, even if you publish something on your social media page, if you let the superintendent know, then perhaps the superintendent could filter that down to some of the school committee members. There's a lot of local support through Charahoe United. We can probably get that to Charahoe United to see if we can drum up some support at the State House. Thank you. Rep. Cotter.
Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughtful presentation, and I appreciate your partnership. You truly always come to the State House when we ask you to come, and you're always keeping us in the loop as we try to keep you in the loop as well. The Blue Ribbon, I just want to address the Blue Ribbon Commission. It's a great pie in the sky, extra $300 to $500 million. It's not going to happen. With our talks with leadership in the House, who, the House controls the budget, that is not going to be happening. It will take many years, many study commissions, many legislative reviews before we ever implement something like that. Much to David Cicilline's dismay, that will not be happening. So I just wanted to address that. Also, when we talk about regional schools, this could be the year that we pass additional regional school bonuses. I'm not making any promises, but I have more hope this year than I have in the past for the last 4 years. This is my 4th year putting the bill in, 4th year as legislator, to get a 6% regional bonus. NPR News is doing a huge story on this next week. You have a lot of school districts with declining enrollment. And we can't keep throwing more money at a problem and expecting something to change when we have a fundamental problem. So hoping to see more schools regionalize with this incentive, including schools that have already regionalized. I feel very hopeful and optimistic, but we can't do anything if we don't have people be loud and come and testify. I appreciated the presentation that you and the Southern legislators, Southern superintendents put on for the legislature. Rep. Spears and I have been talking and racking our brains about a couple of the ideas that were put in there and what we can do in the legislature to see that follow through. But the message was very clear from us to that organization that we need them to show up. I think you are the only superintendent that is frequently at the State House out of all the school districts. So kudos to you. We appreciate that. It's very, very important. But there will be a lot of pieces of legislation that will come out of that I know Rep. Tansey is working on, Rep. Spears is working on. So I don't know what the best way is to get this group to come and testify. Is it via, we send it to you and you just get the information out to everybody, or how we get that to all of the folks here?
So, I want to say, I do know David Cicilline. I was a teacher when he was the mayor, and then I was a principal, and he was an advocate for kids. So my hope is that tomorrow, David doesn't take me as an adversary because we've had a long relationship. But I want you all to know that I don't, and I know people say, oh, well, I had to declare as a Democrat, and I don't even know, because in North Providence, I don't know, you all know my mayor. I'm not sure he's really a Democrat. And I'm sure he'll laugh when I tell him I said it, but in the end, I don't care about party. For me, like, David was an advocate for kids, and I'm hoping I can talk to him and explain why. Let's join together. You started a conversation, and that's important, and it's well intended, but it's short sighted because we and I get it. Take a look at who was on the Blue Commission. Nobody from South County. So I said this to the school committee. In North Providence, I don't have to come to the State House for Representative O'Brien or Representative Corvese, because everybody's fighting. I don't have to, my friends in Providence, who I've known for a long time because I spent 23 years in Providence. I don't like politics, but I learned very early, I don't know if I love Hamilton. I need to be in the room where it happens. And I need to understand why people making decisions for my kids and in a profession that I love and cherish and passion are making decisions that don't make sense. I don't care about phone bills. We care to make sure we're not doing anything stupid, but in the end, I care about education. If our instruction needs are surpassing what we can do financially, and we look at the funding formula and we have evidence, and I have the evidence, I have the states that they can look at. I handed the commissioner a way to change the accountability system because they're targeting schools at their weakest level. Tell me if you want me to give your child a grade on what they do the worst. Our district is growing every kid, and Cala gets nicked every year for something different. Oh, 5 years, get your graduation rate up. It's 87%. Oh, yeah, sorry. Now we would like you to do this instead. I'm not, the ride is building and flying the plane at the same time. I don't want to do that anymore. So I can, Senator Morgan, representatives, Senator Gu, I can give you whatever you need. I have all the evidence. I will start with the one pager tomorrow, and then I will feel free to call on me, and I will share with my documentation, and I'm happy to defend it.
Thank you, Gina. Other questions? Samantha.
Thank you. Just a statement. When it comes to advocacy at the State House, we have gone up multiple years as well. I've been up there multiple years alongside Ms. Purcell and Mr. Stoner out in the audience and Ms. Picard, and it's fun, and we make it fun because we're a good group. Our town council also supports the legislation through resolutions when we can. Vice President Reynolds actually pulled it off our agenda, so we'll be talking about transportation at our next meeting, and I know all the towns do as well. And I really think the more people we can get to come, how we get there would be great. Carpooling would be amazing. I can fit four in my car.
We have vans.
I heard Hopkinton
Then I
has a
have to
van
pay
or
for the
two we can
gas.
borrow. We can get up there and we can make it happen because I think if we have more voices there, more of us, it would be really important. So that's all I wanted to say. I'll probably have more comments later.
Thank you, Samantha. Jasmine.
So did I hear right that you said that enrollment is decreasing every year?
So, Dr. Canella,
Right.
can you go back?
I don't need a slide, but I just want
Not
so
in
it's
Hopkinton. Hopkinton's enrollment is up. Richmond is down less than 1%, and Charlestown is down. I need the slide to say, but
do we know why? Like, do we know why it's decreasing enrollment?
Well,
in those two
Charlestown,
towns?
the cost of housing for some people, but actually Hopkinton building permits are increasing.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, do we know why there's a lower enrollment rate? Like, is it,
I'm not sure I understand the question.
well, this is what I'm asking.
I mean, that's a question, like, it's not a budget question, so I'm not sure, I'm not sure what.
No, that was just the question I was asking. Like, do we know why enrollments are lowering in the two?
There's less children in the community?
Well, yeah, obviously. Or they're going to alternative schools. Like, that's what I'm asking. Is that why?
Okay, so no, actually, we have no decrease. We're getting, our CTE is up and continues to grow. We had the best turnout we've ever seen for CTE this year. I'm hoping we'll get more revenue than we expect. Cala tuition, the reason why we just can't offer the out of district anymore, we don't have the space. Our homeschool parents, many of them actually take courses here, so that's not an issue for us. The revenue, what you can see is this is the issue with the decline is in essence just not having the children in the system. And actually, the communities that are seeing it the fastest are the coastal communities. Like Narragansett, they are lowering, but they have a nice fund balance too, and they're not as worried because they don't want to keep dipping into their funds too. But they have been able to support in a way that, similar to Charlestown being coastal, that brings in revenue. So with Hopkinton and Richmond, I think, Richmond I know is working on economic development. I only because I heard more about that work. I'm not sure about Hopkinton.
We are.
Okay, so and that's where really what's happening is we're the biggest asset. Parents tell us all the time, like, listen, when they move out of here, they don't want to leave. I have families that go to Connecticut and pay tuition here. We have a contract with them. I have parents that pay tuition when they leave. So we just signed a contract. They have to give us the money up front or bi-quarterly. So it's not because they're proud of the work that we're doing here. It's just simply because.
Do you think if we advocated for school choice, people would want to come to Charahoe?
Say what you mean by school choice.
Like if people could choose where they wanted to send their children.
Well, I think that's
like school choice vouchers and things like that.
That already exists. They don't have a vouchers, but that's your charter schools. That's why the pot of money is less. So instead of giving,
I'm saying about Charahoe. Like if we opened it up, like if we could possibly do something through legislature that would allow, say, children to go. I mean, people can go to Narragansett, right? Their taxes would go to Narragansett, or it would follow the child.
So that already happens like through the 9 through 12. So one of the things.
So it has to be 9 through 12 to do that?
No. What we talked about at the school committee level is basing on revenue. So for example, I don't know if you want to give me any example. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Just
so,
let the superintendent finish her thought, and then we're going to move on to Deb and Karen.
So for example, one of the things I've spoken to the school committee about is pre-K. So we don't have state pre-K because it sometimes comes with some red tape that I'm not interested in jumping or the hoops. But our tuition is very low, and not that I want to increase the tuition, but in the end, I do think one of the things I hear from parents about why they choose like a charter is it's not about us or going someplace else. It's because they have before and after school care. So one of the things I talked to, actually Catherine Juicy the previous year, Linda Lyle, I've talked about it. Now myself and Chair Dinsmore is thinking about ways, and we did this in North Providence. I supported this work with my counterpart, Stephen Palmieri, who owns Steve Palmieri's Bakery. It's a great pizza if you want some. I can bring it to the next meeting. But we started a before and after school program that allowed parents to drop off their kids, when they needed to. They're going to charter schools because charter schools don't have the funding and the overhead. They don't have to worry about all the lights and all the, they don't have it. And so I think for us, if we wanted to bring more students in, it really for us, it's before and after school programming. However, as a legislative group in the South County, what we're talking about is not necessarily just because the per pupil is a problem too. Really, it's just more about thinking about what opportunities we want for kids and how we're able to do that. I think when you say things like vouchers, you have to be careful because people get triggered either way. And I want to make sure that we keep the conversation more about what's best for all kids. And it comes with transportation costs. So we do that now and it doesn't work because the money follows them and it's just a burden on other districts. It's not unburdening the system.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Deb, Karen, and then Sharon.
So I was just going to respond to the question about why enrollment in Charlestown is down, because the cost of our housing is so expensive. Young families can't afford to buy here. And unfortunately, I see that trend continuing. And I think our enrollment's just going to continue to drop even lower.
Thank you for that insight. Sharon.
I was going to ask, I've asked Representative Kennedy, what else could the towns do? Should we do a resolution to say we are against the blue ribbon report rather than just wait for you guys to, I wanted to be active and see if would that help?
Sharon, because my students and our teachers are led by Ms. Hall and Mr. Whitaker. One of the things I'd like to be able to do after tomorrow is share with you some of the things and not just say we don't support it, but say, while we understand it's well intended, here's what we support. So let's start here.
I like that.
And the school committee at their last meeting asked me to send a letter to all of the town councils requesting, conversations around the slide around the bonds. So what I can do too is in that letter, I could probably just mention about where I think we need to begin and examples of how it would support Charahoe.
Thank you. So I have a question for the superintendent and Mr. Zenyan, because last week's numbers were a little bit different, considering the governor now has come forward with different numbers from last week. So, obviously I know and I realize that we are a regional school district, but I am a Richmond representative. So seeing that Richmond's numbers now is a 7.91% increase potentially to Richmond specifically, the highest of the three towns. We flipped. Usually it's Hopkinton that's the highest of the three towns, but
You can flip back by tomorrow.
we drew the short straw this year, I guess. So knowing that if you have more than a proposed 4% increase, that has to be approved. What is that process? What does that process look like if that number stays the same?
So actually, the town has to answer that question, which I know.
Thank you, Brian.
They have to request that, yeah.
Yeah, in my experience, we had to do it once. It was several years ago, but yeah, you have to submit something to the Department of Revenue request. But to be clear, the 4% cap is on your total tax levy. So it'd be on the municipal budget tax levy. You can't exceed 4%. that's not what we're really talking about here with your portion of your education expense going over 4%. It wouldn't be the same, right? You'd have to put that into your full budget, see what the impact is on your total budget. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times people see the increase of 5% and they're like, well, how are we going to do that? Because our cap's 4%. But that's just on the education expense, not the entire budget.
Okay.
But it's a pretty straightforward process. If you go to the Department of Revenue website, you can find it. And I'd be happy to help anybody out if they had questions.
Thank you. Mike?
Just directly related to how you get that number, right? So if this budget sheet says 7.91%, what you actually want to do is take the number, the amount of the increase, and get the percentage based on the town budget.
So if your education expense went up 5%, but you put that into your municipal budget,
Right.
it may be the equivalent of 2% on your municipal budget.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's diluted by your other expenses, payroll and those type of things. Obviously, there'll be some increases on that stuff as well. So you have to kind of look at your total budget increase, and that's what the metric is, your tax levy. The other thing, not to get too in the weeds here, but if you had other source of revenue coming in, that could offset some of those. So you can't just look at the increase in your education aid. You got to plug it into your municipal budget to get that 4% or what your actual percent increase would be on your tax levy
Yeah,
for the year.
I think that's a good opportunity for the town's administrators and town councils to work with the school committee, because we've never seen that level of this next steps of the budget increase. Everyone assumes that this number at the bottom is their tax increase, and that's not necessarily true. So I think that's a good opportunity for us to explore that further, so folks have the actual number, at least preliminarily.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, guys, great job. Thanks for the presentation. Here's my question. I ask it every year. How many kids do we have that live outside Hopkins, Richmond, Charlestown, come to Charahoe, and how much money do we bring in from that?
It's a little over three. Let's just say we're the skunk at the garden party. So that's not a total number. I think you want to. Oh, we have. This is the. So let's see. Total here is 70. We have 71 from Westerly, 1 at West Warwick. We have 8 in South Kingstown, 27 in North Kingstown. It's in all the school committees. It's online. It's online. But I'm just giving you an example. So if you go to what section is this for?
Section 6.
Section 6 on our budget page. So there's 2 things I think that's helpful for the community as well. If you go to our budget, and I know Member Purcell likes, I'm doing my best, but I've said to a few people, can't buy the filet if I have money for the slider. So I have to, sometimes the website is what it is, but we try to update it. So if you go to our website, there's a little bell at the top. It says subscribe. Anytime you subscribe, anytime we update that, you'll get the update. So this budget book has all of the enrollment from what town, from what schools, and that's actually stable for us. And actually, I had homeschool parents at our CTE, and I'll be honest with you, I thought about homeschooling, not because I don't like my district. My child, she's engaged and she wants to be able to, study marine biology, and she wants to be able to travel. And sometimes those opportunities can't exist if you have a bell-to-bell kind of thing. So Dr. Camilla and I sat at a pre-K meeting for a family and asked about, because we do exit interviews, and what they shared was they just don't love the commitment of every day, coming to school. They want to be able to take their kids and explore and, do different things. And I don't blame them.
So the other part of the question is transportation. How is that paid for? Is it paid by the town that they're presiding? Like, say you said.
Oh, yeah, this is the problem. So if we pay for it. So if you go to a charter, if you go to a private school, the parochial schools are based on the diocese. And I don't know, they usually update it like every 5 years. So they tell you which schools you have to pay for. And Mr. Zenny and I can get that information. So which schools where, you have to transport these or you don't have to transport these, only for parochial. Charter, we have to transfer.
Yeah,
we have to transport. And CTE. But let's just say I tease Superintendent Garso that watch the Wesley buses come in. They're packed. And when the parents complain, he tells them to, well, go to Wesley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would just caution transportation because we have 133 students that come from out of district to our career in tech. We don't pay to transport them here.
Oh, one quick question, real too.
Yes.
For just everyday purposes, when the school buses run, what does that cost us a day? Just a ballpark figure,
A day or annually?
just a day.
A day, okay.
Break it down.
Well, you know what? I was actually trying to do that math today because our heat went down in the middle school in a few hallways. So we have the controllers, they're all working on that to make sure we're up and ready. What would be
Ballpark.
yeah, he's doing it right now. Greg is doing the math.
Got the calculator over there.
So an interesting thing that I think may help Richmond or Hopkinton, whoever switches to Charlestown, is that we just went out for RFP for our transportation contract is up, and the committee approved an audit of our transportation routes. So we're getting that data back in February. If that comes back, every district that's done it so far has saved at least one bus. So they've had savings. So we may have more savings in February based on that audit. So that could be a little bit of a reprieve. And we also think that, what was that we talked about? There was one other thing that we were holding on, waiting for the state. I don't remember. Sorry, brain fog.
So don't hold me to this number, but if you take the $4.5 million a year and divide it by 180, it comes to $25,000 a day.
Yeah, that's what we figured. We would say 24, right? Yeah. And now, say, like during COVID, even though I'm not sure how it was written, somebody asked me that question. I said, yeah, we pay an exorbitant amount in transportation. It costs a lot of money to get that little bus up and down the road.
And they had to be half full.
Yep. So in the event if that does natural disaster, say COVID, do they still get paid? Bus companies still get paid?
They do now because it's in their contracts.
Okay, there you go. Answers my question.
Thanks, Mike.
Guys. Yep.
Laura, did you have your hand raised? Oh, okay. So, Mark and then Megan, please.
Just to follow up on the transportation piece, just kind of a nuts and bolts question. The line on transportation's going up almost 9%, 260,000. Is what's accounting for that?
So we had a 3-year contract with the bus company with 2 one-year extensions. And that was a great contract at about a 3.5% a year increase. But their costs went up 4 to 8% per year for employment. They are a non-union shop, but they basically pay union wages to keep their drivers. So we went out to bid. We had one bid. It's 11% increase in year 1 and a 5% for year 2 and 3.
School committee hasn't approved that bid because we're holding on.
It's not approved, but
Yeah.
I built your budget on that 11% increase. We opened the bid right before we submitted the budget, so I was able to change the numbers.
So it's the same amount of, you're not adding buses, it's just increased contract cost with,
Yes.
is it
Yes.
still first going to be Ocean State?
That's the only one that bid, right?
That's the only person that bid.
I mean, I don't know if why 11% in the first year and then much lower? And why not smooth it out over 3 years?
Because they felt that we smoothed it out for ourselves over the last 5. They took the hit every year for the last 5 years because of the contract we had signed for 3 with the 2 one-year extensions. Their increases to employment was going way higher than our increase to them. So honestly, if they knew they were going to be the only bidder, I think they would have raised it 15 to 18%. But there was some interest in their contract, so they came in. That was how they bid it.
Yeah, maybe they would smooth it out if they thought you were going to go out to bid again and try to get another bid.
And they may bid higher.
Yeah, they might. I'm just spitballing ideas.
Listen, that's why I think once we get the audit, I talked to Dr. Carino today, and he had let me know a few weeks ago that it should be in the beginning of February.
Thank you. Megan?
I just, 2 things. I just wanted to remind the chair, when you're looking at the numbers, remember the governor's budget is not set in stone, and the same thing happened last year. It's essentially game on, where now we go and advocate for our communities and fight for that funding. We have not lost money in 3 years, and I don't anticipate.
We've gotten more money, so thank you.
we've been fighting for that. So I do not anticipate this to be a year where we lose money. The other question I had, as you were talking about schools that are forced to regionalize or forced to look at regionalization, Westerly is on the verge of that. Their numbers are very low. Has the school committee ever thought about potentially courting them and expanding Charahoe to, you'd have to figure out a new name, but adding another town?
Charahoe. Well, we would coordinate, yeah. The transportation.
Thank you for that suggestion. We haven't discussed that up to this point, but, you know, if this is part of a strategic, you know, initiative that the superintendent recommends, and if there's data behind that, I'm sure that the school committee would take that under consideration. So I don't see any other hands raised. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Victoria.
Thank you for the presentation. So, quick follow-up on the housing thing. So I've heard from multiple realtors that they have been selling a lot to people coming from New York or Connecticut, or are unfortunately turning some houses into, you know, short-term rentals. So with the Blue Ribbon Commission, I also think it is like unreasonable, you know, too large of a budget ask. So I think it's just more of a long-term fight that we're probably going to have. But you know, when opposing it, I think it's helpful to be as specific as you can. And I think one of the things that I noticed is the instead of the current formula, which takes into account like median incomes as well as property values, so it's kind of taking both factors into account. So the Blue Ribbon Commission was basically changing that to assessments, total property assessments. And I noticed that the communities that seem to be hit the most are the ones that have some million-dollar, multi-million-dollar houses: Westerly, Charleston, Newport, etc. So I do think that they're trying to say that the total property assessment is indicating how much you can raise money from the community, but I think it's such a weird distribution where you have this small number of houses that are worth a lot of money, that it's not really a great indicator of how much like each community can afford according to their median income. And plus there's a lot of older residents who are on retirement income who probably don't have that large income to support the increase. So I think the more, I think, specific critiques you can offer, the better. And yeah, just say that in case anyone is going to the meeting tomorrow about the Blue Ribbon Commission.
Thank you. So, yes. Okay. Who was first? Jess and Samantha. Go ahead.
So are we going? So just to share a little about my perspective as a school committee member and as a parent, I appreciate everyone being here tonight. I think we're at a crucial moment in this district with Vision 2026, the end of that, and coming into Vision 2029. I can really envision where Charahoe School District can be in a few years if the community supports this budget, and also the bond for unified elementary school. It's come up a lot. I really think that our regional district, the regional aspect of our district, is our greatest strength. I don't know about Anna Westerly, or kind of, you know, might be at capacity, but I think that, you know, because we're regional and it's a great asset, that doesn't mean that we're always going to agree on everything. But I know that we can work together to serve our students and our schools. I know some of us have negative feelings about certain situations, lost opportunities, but we keep showing up. We put students first. There have been years of low increases, and I think that's part of why we're in a difficult position now. But I'm happy that we have this meeting. It helps us keep the lines of communication open, make sure the information is presented and it's understandable. And as mentioned earlier, I am really encouraged by the work of the building committee, Tri-Town group of stakeholders who have been making a lot of progress in short time to work on the capital improvements that were improved by the $15 million bond last November. I think it's really a good example of putting students first and also guiding our collective investment to make sure it's safe, secure, and sound. At the state level, I know there are a lot of important discussions, and I will continue to advocate for transportation funding, regional bonus aid, and more clarity on DCYF tuition rates. One thing I'd like to have more conversations about is the importance of preschool. I think the financial cost of that really pays off in dividends for the future as far as getting our students prepared, throughout their school year, throughout their school career, or, the tenure of their schooling. I think we can really make preschool more robust by local, state, and federal funding. And I appreciate the opportunity to share these thoughts, and I welcome the contributions of others around this table. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to touch really quick on the question about the 4% cap. And from my experience last year on town council, I'm not interested in going above 4 or asking for more. And that's based on direct feedback I received from the community. When other municipalities were facing that and asking for that, I received a lot of questions asking if Richmond was going to, and they just weren't interested. And I understand, and I thank Mr. Rosso for his explanation. And I had the same question for our finance director earlier. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. And I think that we need to work closely throughout this budget process, because Richmond is seeing the highest increase. And in my conversations with Danielle, I understand that our revenues may be increasing. I don't know how much yet, because we're still very preliminary. But one factor into that is our economic development. Hopkinton's working on Main Street, as is Richmond. My colleagues are working very hard on that. And what's really important and what's increasing for us this year is the meal and beverage tax. We should be getting more because our restaurants are doing better. Richmond likes to be a drive-through town. People come in, spend money, and leave. So I think it's important that we maintain any kind of revenue source that we can. And I think we need to balance the needs of the school and the needs of the town. I'm a parent of Charahoe students. My son will be graduating this year. We're so excited. But our town staff puts in a lot of work, a lot of effort. They wear multiple hats. We hear it all the time in our meetings. And Richmond doesn't have an assistant for our town administrator. We don't have a grant writer like the school committee does, and we had to remove that from our budget. I made a lot of decisions in the last budget that I was not happy about, but I did for my constituents to keep our tax rates low. And hearing that the school committee was able to raise $3.3 million through grants, and knowing that I applied for a $2,500 grant for the 250th commission, and knowing the amount of work that puts on Danielle for such a small amount, I just feel like we need to work closer together throughout this budget cycle to ensure that the needs of the students are met, so we can have more proud Charahoe grads who are able to stay in their communities after they graduate. Because as a parent who's looking into children who are growing out of our home, they may not be able to stay in the community that they grew up in, which is, it is sad. It is sad. My daughter's going to travel far, but that's another story for another day. So I think we just need to work closely together to ensure that, yes, the students' needs are met, but the town doesn't suffer because of it, because we need a grant writer at this point. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no other hands raised, I'm going to open it up to members of the community. If you would like to come forward, if you have any thoughts or opinions or suggestions that you'd like to share, you can step forward, say your name and the town that you're from.
Hi, Steve Moffett from Hopkinton, class of 1994, Charahoe. And that's in the spirit of Scott Bill Hurst. So I'm going to take the opportunity to thank everybody for being here. I know we all live busy lives. Great presentation, Gina. Really appreciated it. But I just want to just make a comment because the town councils are here. Okay, so first off, good evening. I want to speak to the importance of leadership and shared responsibility as it relates to the proposed elementary school bond for the Charahoe School District. Charlestown, Richmond, and Hopkinton are not separate observers in this decision. Charahoe is a regional school district, and it only works if we act like one. That means the town councils of all three communities must be actively involved together in this conversation. This is not just an education issue. It directly affects property values, the ability to attract and retain young families, and the long-term economic health of our towns. These are core municipal principles, and they fall squarely within the responsibilities of the town councils. As elected leaders of your respective towns, it is imperative that you work collaboratively for the benefit of our children, not just today, but for decades to come. My ask tonight is straightforward, that each town council commit to a series of joint workshop-style meetings to collectively discuss the elementary school bond. Not a vote, not a commitment, an open public process where impacts, concerns, and differences are addressed honestly. The issue is too important to ignore, and failing to engage would be irresponsible. As a former Hopkinton Town Council president, I know firsthand that council members owe their communities transparency, coordination, and leadership, especially on issues of this scale. Your residents deserve to know where you stand, and the Charo community deserves a clarity about its future. Our shared educational environment demands this level of seriousness. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands raised, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? We have a second. All in favor? Have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.